All right. The West Virginia Mountaineers are trailing Eastern Kentucky by the score of 41-38. This is the Voice of Motown halftime show. I'm Tyler Pepe.
I'm Brandon Cork, and this is a halftime live show by two suffering WVU fans.
Yeah, and suffering we are after that first half. So this is a game where West Virginia was trailing 12-2 very early on. So even though it's rough to be trailing against Eastern Kentucky right now, it could be a lot worse. I mean, Eastern Kentucky hit 6 of their first 9 3-pointers just to start that game. Luckily, they cooled off a little bit, and we were able to catch up. But it's still a little concerning that we're trailing against Eastern Kentucky. What do you think about the first half?
Yeah, that was rough. I mean, Eastern Kentucky came out hot, and it just seems like they didn't want to miss. I mean, hitting 2/3 of your threes definitely isn't sustainable, but I think defensively we just need to make sure not to give up those type of shots. I know it seems kind of like a staple of Bob Huggins' defense is pressure, take away shots inside, but kind of leaving open threes. And when you come up against a team who has some good shooters like Eastern Kentucky does, that can really bite you in the butt really quickly, and we saw that. So I'm glad we bounced back, and I'm hoping that we can carry the momentum that we brought into the end of the first half into the second.
Yeah, I'm with you. That is just kind of the nature of Bob Huggins' defense. He pressures a lot, and if you're going to double team, that's definitely going to leave corners open, 3-pointers open. But yeah, it's a little rough. Honestly, I'm a little more concerned about what we're seeing on the offensive end from certain players. You could definitely argue Taz was the MVP in the first half, but I'm going to go with Gabe Osaboyan for my MVP in that first half. 6 points from Gabe. You know, he's not known for putting up points. 3 rebounds, 1 assist, a block, and then, of course, anytime you're talking about Gabe, the intangibles that don't even show up. He's pressuring, he's hustling. So I'm loving it. All 3 of those rebounds are offensive rebounds as well. So that's good for Gabe, but it is concerning. The Mountaineers have to get a front court presence from someone, whether it's Kerrigan, whether it's Polycap. It's got to be someone other than Gabe all the time, or they're really going to struggle in Big 12 play, I think. And that's really what I look for in games like this. You know, how is this game going to translate against a Big 12 opponent? And I don't know about you, but it's a little concerning.
Yeah, definitely. I think that the big answer to that is going to have to be Cottrell. I mean, Polycap, Kerrigan, and Gabe are kind of what they are. You might have a game like this from Gabe every once in a while where he's able to score in the paint. But Kerrigan and Polycap, you know, they're more of they'll dunk the ball, they'll make some putbacks, but they're not someone who's going down there and have some post moves. Cottrell's going to have to learn to be that guy. We were talking in our group text during the game, and Cottrell doesn't really seem to necessarily be ready defensively. I know he's had a couple good games, and rebounding wise, he's a little lacking there. But the answer to that might be kind of how they treat Bridges and pair him with another big guy like a Gabe or a Kerrigan or a Polycap, so that you can get that extra defense and rebounding that you need while also being able to have someone who's a little bit more offensively gifted on the offensive end. So, Cottrell might not be there yet. It's kind of hard to come back from an Achilles injury and train and build up all the strength that you need to bang down low like that. But as the season goes on, I think he's going to have to be the guy who steps up and takes on that role.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like Polycap and Kerrigan on the team. They moved really well for a big guy. Like some of the hustle plays that Kerrigan does, it really impresses me. But, they have to develop a move. It's not like we have to rely on them for points, but it seems like once they get the ball underneath, they have no go-to move, which, is kind of shocking for seniors. But we mentioned Taz a minute ago. He looks great on offense. 10 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. He's absolutely carrying the offense. But someone else needs to step up. I have a section for this in the podcast that we're going to do after the game. But I just need to see more from Jalen Bridges. I know he's a sophomore, so maybe I'm being too hard on him. But I thought this year we would really saw him. I thought we would see him come into his own and become a star. He has all the tools. He shows glimpses of it sometimes. What was it? I think it was the Pitt game. He had like 18 points. So he shows flashes of it, but first half he had 1 point, 0 assists, 3 rebounds. I don't know about you, but I just need to see more from him for us to be successful this year.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree with Joe. He just commented that Bridges needs to be more aggressive. And I agree. I mean, he has everything. I mean, he has a shot, he can finish inside. He has a decent mid range game, and it seems like his handles are fine. It just seems like, you know, he gets tentative sometimes, doesn't believe in himself. And I think, he's the third best guy on this team. So he needs to go out there and create because, McNeil, he tries to create, even though he's not really a shot creator, he's a shot maker. Um, you need to have someone like Bridges, who I think athletically can really take guys off the dribble and attack. And even if he's not making his shots get to the line, which I'm pretty sure he can hit. So, I just want to see more out of him. I know there's a couple instances in the first half where he had some open threes and he passed them up to get the ball to McNeil in the corner, which, sure, it's better to give it to someone like McNeil sometimes, but you got to have the confidence in yourself to say, I need to take this shot. Especially, to build that confidence up.
Absolutely. Yeah. Charles said 2 for 13 from 3, with the majority of them being open attempts. I'm with you. Yeah. Like, we're a shooting team. We just talked about how we really don't have a big inside presence on offense. And so if you're a shooting team, you got to hit those shots when you're open. Otherwise, you're going to go cold, and you're going to give teams like Eastern Kentucky a chance to build up a big lead. And if you're always playing catch up, it's hard to stay in games. I will say one thing. I like that Coach Huggins is playing around with lineups early in the year, because there's just lots of different combos that you can put out there. I know we've mentioned this before, but this team is just so deep compared to some recent Mountaineer teams. So I do like that he's messing around with that and seeing what works.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think so David asks, why do we miss so many close shots? I think part of it is the way the team's constructed, maybe not necessarily intentionally, but I think, we have a lot of shooters on the team. I mean, we don't have a lot of shot creators, and that's something, I mentioned earlier where, we have Taz Sherman, we have Malik Curry, and that's really it. I mean, McNeil could shoot the lights out, but when you ask him to put the ball on the floor and make his own shot, create space, it doesn't really work out well. Bridges is too tentative. We have a lot of big guys. So it's all about a journey to kind of figure out who that next guy is who can create his own shot, get himself some space, feels comfortable pulling up or driving into the lane and drawing contact if, they're not going to get an open layup. So that's something that we saw, I think, with Bob Huggins teams of, 7 or 8 years ago, where you had like Chuck Bryant and guys like that who weren't afraid to put their shoulder down and try. Curry and Sherman are really the only two guys who do that now.
Yeah, and you kind of alluded to it. For McNeil to get going, we got to get guys who are going to drive to the bucket more. I mean, that's why he would heat up so much last year, is that Deuce would take it to the bucket almost every time he touched the ball. He's looking to drive and either take it all the way to the rim or step back and hit that nice pull up that he had. But in doing that, people would leave McNeil to stop it. And we're just not seeing a lot of that this year, which I wish was more in the game plan, because it seems like Malik and, even the two Johnsons can drive. They're good drivers, but, we're just not seeing it a lot in the plays that they're running. I liked at the end of the first half there, they were kind of running a 4 out and just putting the center kind of at the top of the key, running picks. I think that's a good way to start generating offense, because you're either going to have a one-on-one into the bucket. You could look for the big guy on the pick and roll, or you could kick it out. And I'm pretty sure that's what ended up happening. Didn't Taz hit a open 3 because of that? So I would like to see them run more plays like that.
Yeah, and I think that play style fits better with this team. I mean, that's kind of a staple of John Calipari's offense at Kentucky. That's, the way he runs his offense is let the athletes play, get a nice big guy down there, and, he'll go down there for some lob dunks. And if you got someone who's a little bit more skilled, you can do some post ups. But, Calipari's offenses are always driven by guards. His best teams always have the best guards. So, that's kind of what I think WVU needs to do a little bit more offensively in their set pieces. I don't think this motion offense works too well for them. So, do some more dribble drive. And another thing is, I was looking at some stats, which I'm going to cover a little bit more in the podcast that we're going to do later today, to talk about, some trends that I've seen in the data. And it looks like WVU is actually really successful at running in transition. They have a really high shooting percentage. They score really well. They get into all the valuable areas. They're scoring in the paint. They're scoring from three. It just kind of seems like, we kind of tend to settle and try to get into a set instead of trying to push the pace a little bit. And again, I think offensively it's time to try some new things to see what works and what doesn't. So maybe push the pace a little bit and see if Eastern Kentucky can keep up.
Yeah, I'm with you. Brandon just kind of mentioned it, but we're going to record our podcast right after this game. So please check that out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever. Just look for Voice of Motown Podcast. Some of the comments, Alan said our bigs are too soft. I mean, I don't want to call them soft and disrespect them, but they, we do struggle a lot inside, pulling down rebounds, playing tough defense, which, we did say that, a lot of the defensive issues, allowing layups, is because we're pressuring and double teaming. But, those bigs, they just have to learn one move inside that we can just go to them anytime we get cold. We got to generate offense from the inside occasionally. Let's see. Yeah, if we can make our free throws, Lane, if we can make free throws in the second half, that just always seems to be an issue for the Mountaineers, hitting those free throws. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because we have no legs, because we pressure a lot, because, free throws you shoot mainly with the strength of your legs. So I don't know if that's the issue, but that just seems to be a reoccurring theme every year.
Definitely.
Shots have to fall eventually. Yeah, I mean, that's the good thing. Shots do have to fall eventually. You're gonna have up and downs. You're gonna be hot and cold when you have a shooting team, and that's what we have this year. Looks like the game's back on.
Oh, cool. All right, you ready to close this out, and then we can catch everyone up on our podcast?
Absolutely, yeah. So thanks for listening, guys. We appreciate it. Once again, look for the podcast because we're going to do a recap after this game. So you got anything else to add?
No. Thanks, everyone, for listening. And if you want to check out our podcast, we're available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else that you listen to your podcast. So feel free to check us out. And if you ever have any thoughts, feedback, comments, feel free to shoot us a message on our Facebook page or Twitter account. Our page is the Voice of Motown Podcast. We run a separate account from Brad's account. So you can chat directly with us by shooting a message there if you want to, let us know how you feel.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Dave says, thanks. No, we thank you. Thank you guys for listening. For the Voice of Motown Podcast, we will catch you guys next time.
Thanks, everyone.